Welcome everyone to Bite-Sized Conversations with Kylie and Jenny.
Yay, very happy to be here with you, Jenny, on this beautiful Friday morning.
It is a great day.
It's reminded me to put my fan on because it's already warm in my office and here in Bangalore, and you're up in Brisbane, Jenny, so we're on different time zones.
We are. So 8:15 here and 9:15 where you are, I think.
Yes. So, Jenny, our topic of the day is how to manage your time with your digital marketing. Is that correct? Did I say that right?
It is. And it's such a big challenge. I think most of my clients, when we start talking about how to share their content and share their brand and share their business to the world, they're like, oh my God, how do I do all these things on social media? How do I post in 700 groups a week and do my own content and then write blogs and everything? And it just seems to overwhelm everybody. And I thought at this time of year, when we're starting to everyone's getting busy, everyone's also getting a little tired, it's a really good topic for us to talk about in terms of how we manage our time better around that.
Jenny, I'm so excited to talk about this topic. And I was just talking, somebody was just joining, I was on a conversation with someone last night because they're joining the new group coaching. We're launching our second one. And he was asking all those, thank you, he was asking all those questions like, I really need to, are we going to be covering this? Are we going to be covering this? And I'm like, absolutely. And it's going to be awesome. But this is all part of my strategy and I just share how that works. But Jenny, just before we get stuck into that, I'd really like to know, you just said something that I thought was fascinating, which was that we're all getting tired. Now that's interesting because last night I finished a little earlier than I usually do, like literally only half an hour earlier. So instead of finishing at 7, I finished at 6:30.
Love.
For those of you that don't know, Brenda and I are in Jenny's group coaching, and we had our first session this week, and it was all about, well, I'm not going to tell you all the secrets, but one of my challenges for the week is to take a little bit of time out, time that's for me. So I did it yesterday after last night. I stopped at 6:30.
And that's amazing.
I know, Jenny will be so proud, so will Brenda. But, I shouldn't say but there, that's not relevant. The thing was, though, I felt so tired, like so tired. I was like, what's actually happening here? Why? I just normally pump it through. Like I never really wane in that. So I was like, that's really interesting. And then you just said, we're all really tired. And I thought, is it the end of year thing?
Well, I think it's a bit of both. I think there's two parts to what you're saying. I think that it is the end of year thing. It's been such a big year for people in so many different ways. Some people have pivoted and been able to really respond well to COVID this year. Others are really struggling with how to manage their transition and how to, kind of keep on keeping on, if you like. But so there's that kind of general fatigue that we have with all the disruption and uncertainty, because uncertainty in our brains don't like uncertainty. So when we have uncertainty and we're not really sure what's going on, it actually creates that fatigue because our brain has to work harder to create certainty. It actually will find a way to create certainty, even if it's fleeting. So we get fatigued with that process of having to create certainty, particularly if you're not comfortable with uncertainty and that kind of flexibility. But what you're talking about is a little bit of your body releasing some of that stress and that tension by saying, you know what, it's now my time to relax and refresh and recoup. And that fatigue you're feeling and that tired from yesterday would have been about your body releasing some of that energy that you thrive on with work and then going, oh, there's space. What do I do with this space? Oh my gosh. And so you get that kind of response, but you'll find that the more times you take for yourself, the less extreme that kind of tired and fatigue response you'll feel.
Good, because I'm not going to have more time.
Just want the 30 minutes. That's all I need. That's all we need, right?
So it was nice with that little bit of extra time. I caught up with a friend and then, hung out with my family. And so, yeah, it was nice. I'm going to aim to do it at least once a week.
Awesome.
Extra early finish, which was fun. So let's now jump into managing your time with your digital strategy. So I teach this over a 6-month period, usually.
We've got 7 minutes.
With one-to-one clients, I usually, we work through it over about a 3-month period. But in a nutshell, this is how I run mine so that it is completely manageable, bite-sized way of doing my strategy. So the first thing I do is write a blog post. Now, sometimes that blog post is me starting from scratch, and just sometimes I'll start on with pen and paper. Could even start with something as little as a journal entry, and then it triggers something to make me want to go and write about it. Or it could be that I'm seeing something on Facebook or something on the news, and it makes me think about something that I particularly want to write about that's relevant to my business. Other times, and most likely of late, it comes about from my digital webinar. Let me start again. My webinar that I run on a Monday afternoon, which is, just a free to anyone to come along on some topic to do with digital marketing. So because we're choosing a different topic each week, it's a great way to go, that's the perfect topic for my blog post also. But then so let's take, for example, this Monday coming up, the topic is Facebook ads. So there's only so much you can say in a 1 hour, webinar about Facebook ads, but then I can delve a little bit deeper with my blog. So how it works in my team is that the presentation that I've created, one of my team will then take that content from that and put it into blog. And that I use Shopify, so they'll put it into the Shopify section of the blog section in Shopify. The graphics that I've already created that went with my webinar, they'll just be resized and tweaked a little bit to use in the blog. So then they'll let me know when it's in there, and I'll jump in, and then I'll add to it and change it and, do all the things to make it mine, and etc. And sometimes we'll even use Otter. So while I'm speaking the digital marketing webinar, we'll have Otter on, and it will transcribe the whole thing. For those of you that don't know, Otter's a free app. Put it on your phone and transcribe whatever it is you want to say. So just stay on the blog post topic for a moment. If you weren't doing a webinar that you were going to transcribe or something in that way, and you just needed to be able to write something, a great way to do it, and for those of you that take an early morning walk or something, just pick up your phone and open up Otter and talk your thoughts into Otter.
I do that so often. When I'm driving. If I'm having a long trip and I'll have a moment, I'll be like, I'm just going to, if I've filled up my car and something sparks on me, I'll put on Otter, and then I'll just start talking to myself in the next 45-minute drive. But you get so much amazing content that comes out because you're kind of just in this flow.
Yes, absolutely. I love that you're talking to yourself, because I do it all the time anyway. So why not record it?
Exactly.
So then you can, with the Otter transcription, of course, you log into the version on your desktop, and you can then just copy that, and then put it into your blog. You can obviously write your blog in Google Docs or whatever. It doesn't have to be straight into the back end of your website. So first thing there is write the blog and create those graphics. Then with those graphics, again, you can resize them to be for Instagram and Facebook, and also for your newsletter. So the next thing that we do is start preparing the newsletter so that can go out, and have some content from like a snippet from the blog in there. So first thing is write the blog. Then from that, it gives me content for my newsletter. It also then gives me at least 5 pieces of content for social media. So you might use that over a whole month. You might use that just in a week, totally up to you and whatever you've written your blog post on. So then that one project of writing a blog post is what's going to change your life, because once you've written that, it gives you content for so many things, because every paragraph can literally be a different social media post and have a slightly different variation of your graphic, and then off you go. So to me, when you start with a piece of writing, you can then use that in so many different ways. You can also go and do a Facebook or an Instagram live talking about that same topic. So it could be that you want to structure it that it's like the topic of the week, or it's the topic of the month. So for you and I now talking about, how to save time in your digital strategy, both of us could then go and make a blog post out of that. We could both of us then go and make a, send it out to our newsletter, to our database. Then we can put it into content. And of course, if we do it cleverly in our content, and we can say to people, want to know more about this, then, sign up to my email marketing list, etc. And then you can, of course, open up a little conversation in Messenger with them, or in a private message in Instagram, etc. So
what I love about that, Kylie, is the fact that what we're doing is we're not, I know I can hear everyone watching this going, oh my God, I've got to write a blog. And a number of my clients really struggle with the blog. So those tips about doing Otter, having a conversation, even recording your Facebook Live content through Otter so that you have that. So when you're talking about a blog, it doesn't have to be arduous about sitting down and writing for those who don't like writing, but it's about using that efficiently, isn't it? Instead of coming up with different content every single day and having to think about what am I going to say today, we're actually helping feed and fuel our information by that one piece of content. So it's such a clever way of doing it.
And what I didn't mention is that one blog post will make a huge difference to your website, because that's fresh content and Google loves fresh. So fresh content, make sure you've got a couple of keywords in there so that people are searching, and up it comes and they'll find it, and make sure it's relevant and it's new, it's interesting, and don't copy other people's. Yes, I totally hear you when you say that some people writing is just not their jam. So by speaking it the way that you like, if I was to meet you in the street and you and I say, hey, Jenny, what are you doing with what's new with your business, or what's happening with your business, or what are people finding difficult about business at the moment as we emerge from COVID, etc. And imagine then that when you answered me, we were ottering it at the time. Like that would be gold there that we could use. And also, I think that some people think of a blog post in the way that some kids think about school and assignments, and that you have to write till you get to a certain number. I've always disliked that when people say, and a lot of digital marketers say, you must write 800 words for your blog post. I disagree. I feel like write what feels good for you. And when you've said enough, then you've said enough. Because anything that's more than what is enough is going to be strained. It's going to be fluff or something, and we don't need the extra fluff. So write what feels right for you. Some of my blog posts literally are a paragraph and then some dot points. But my favorite top tip to give you about blog posts is to try and turn it into 5 top tips, 10 reasons why, how to People love to absorb bite-sized amounts of information.
I know.
And if they see that as 5 top tips, they don't go, oh my goodness, that's going to take me too long to read, I'll read it another time. They'll go, okay, 5, here we go, boom. And then they can see clearly as they go down, I'm up to number 3, I'm up to number 4. So that is my best tip about writing a blog, is that to try and make it easily absorbed.
And I think that's such an important idea. I mean, we do these bite-sized conversations because it's about short, sharp information that's going to help people and make them think differently. I often refer my clients when I'm talking about blogs and getting the idea of writing to Seth Godin's blog. So Seth Godin, the marketing guru, he does a blog every day. So sometimes his daily blog is literally 1 paragraph or even 1 sentence or 2 sentences. And I love it because it's just a thought bubble. So he does it daily as a thought bubble and then uses that in a different way. So every time he has that kind of thought bubble, he pops it on his daily blog. And I think he's been doing that consistently now for something like 8 or 10 years. It's some ridiculous amount of time. Like you look back earlier and it was like a blog here and a blog there. And then he committed to this, I'm just going to do a thought bubble every day. And that idea of committing to that and him just doing a thought bubble, it takes the pressure off, doesn't it? You don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, is it long enough? Is it short enough? It's just about providing value, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you just said thought bubble, and I was like, yes, absolutely. If you can think of your blog as an expanded thought bubble or starting as a thought bubble, I love it. We all have what's the stats on how many the average human has of thoughts a day? Like it's gazillions. So if one of those, you could jot it down into are you a journaler, Jenny?
I am a journaler. I'm a journaler, and now with Otter, I do a lot of Otter conversations because it captures my thought bubbles. But I'm very much a journaler and a scribbler. In fact, I'm sitting here today talking, and I still have my journal in front of me and making notes as we're talking, even though that this information is like, stuff we talk about all the time. But I know there's a gem every time we talk, so I always have a pen and paper with me.
That's great. So for those people that are journalers, I think then that your journal is full of a gazillion ideas for blog posts. So for me, my blog post is very much digital marketing based, but there's no reason that I suddenly can't write a blog post about the end of year fatigue like we've just discussed now, because it's not necessarily directly digital marketing related, but it's a flow on from digital marketing. We're all feeling at times overwhelmed about doing all the things. So I think that find the ways that you can, I'm going to really work with that thought bubble thought. Find the ways that you can jot down your thought bubbles and you can turn those into blog posts. Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes I'm on a roll and I might write 3 blog posts, but I don't publish them. Like they're sitting there written in the background, and then I'm going to go back later on and do a bit of editing on them, etc. And also blog posts are a great way to get your external and internal links happening too. So, you know, this blog post today that could be about, you know, our conversation today, we could then, in the blog post, I would link that out to Jenny's website. She will have at some point done something on her website about bite-sized conversations, so she'll be linking to me. So that's magic for the Google gods as well. So
yeah,
the more that we can do and grabbing onto all these little moments where we can be found and seen, etc., the better.
And I do like what you're talking about. And I know you're talking about Canva when you're talking about resizing, because so many people think, again, we have to create everything from scratch. And I know before I discovered Canva, I was doing that, you know, creating a different post for every different platform until Canva has the magic resize button and everything can be resized to whatever format that you use. And so that simple act of just resizing and repurposing your existing content makes it so much easier to manage the overwhelm that some people feel when they're looking at social media or even considering social media. So my question to you, and I know this is something that people watching probably are thinking about, is how many pieces of content should we put on social media if we're just starting and we're freaking out about social media and content? What's like the minimum number we should start posting every week on social media?
I would definitely be aiming for 3. Definitely 3. Most of my new clients, and when they go from very little because they're too overwhelmed and don't even know what to post, then we aim for 3. So I'll give you an example with one of my new clients. That what we've done is that she's a food distributor, and so we're not even talking about her at the moment because that doesn't feel right just yet. So what we're doing is we're talking one day, we're talking about one of her suppliers. So like almost like a shout out for them. One day there's like a shout out for one of her customers. And then the other day is a shout out about where we live, because she's a, you know, wants to talk about, because a lot of the food is local. So talking about the beauty of the area, etc. So it takes the heat off yourself and you're doing great things to get out there and be noticed. And it's all just beginning stages, but it felt like that was manageable. So 3 posts a week. So one of each of those topics, and then 3 stories a week on one of each of those topics. So it's also not reinventing anything. That's not 6 posts really, because it's the same topics. And so it might be the supplier story post on the Monday, but then the customer story on the Monday. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah. So you've got 3 items you want to post, and we're just basically cross-posting them, so we get a total of 6 hits or 6 impacts or every week, which means you're starting to create that engagement. And that's and that's easy to do, isn't it? It's easy to manage. And then as you get comfortable with that and you're taking your strategies around using your blog and repurposing, suddenly you get into a flow and it becomes much easier.
Yes. And then I would say once you've started with 3, then you can move that up to 4, you can move that up to 5. Now it's going to completely depend on what your insights tell you when you look in Facebook and Instagram and check out when your audience is even there, what time they're there, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I post very little on the weekends for Hello Media, because that's not when my audience is responding. They're responding Monday to Friday, particularly really early in the morning. So I often have a lot of posts scheduled for 6 a.m, go boom, boom, boom in my Facebook group, etc. And then a lot of chat during the day in the Facebook group. So, but if I put something up on a Saturday or Sunday, it's more likely to be of a personal nature rather than something business-wise, because we all need a little break for our business brains.
And I find that too.
Yeah. So with my meetup group, Positive Passionate Women in Business, I could do a lot more posting on the weekends, because there's a lot more going on with the women there than it would be, say, for my business. So it very much depends on what type of business. Like imagine if you're a restaurant, you'd be wanting to post in the weekend, you know, particularly like on a Saturday morning, and be putting it out there and saying, hey, get your friends together, come in tonight, eat in, you know, here's a free offer of garlic bread if you say you saw this post, for example.
And it goes back to that finding ways to manage your time, isn't it? So even saying that conversation around when should you post, it's about maximizing your impact. So if you do have a little bit of time and you are worried about the overwhelm and how do I manage all this, you say, well, let's do it the biggest bang for our buck. So if it's Wednesday to Thursday, or so Wednesday to Friday or Wednesday to Saturday, we'll post then. And then nothing, you don't have to post on a Sunday, Monday. And I love that message, because so many people feel they need to do every day, multiple groups every single day. And it does create challenges and that overwhelm piece, particularly when you're new to it. And even as you start to get busy, I know I've been doing that for many months, but even I'm finding that now that I'm pulling back a little bit, because I'm changing my business, I'm changing what I'm doing, I'm launching some new programs, that I want to actually start really being considered about when I post and what I'm posting. So you can change that as you go through. You're not fixed in once you decide.
Yes, absolutely. And you don't want to post at 10 o'clock at night if that is only like, if you go, okay, well, so now I've got some downtime, so I'll do my post now. But if none of your audience is on, then it will be really a waste of your own time doing it then.
Yeah.
And then people will say, well, now I've got to do Facebook ads because no one's seeing my post. It's like, actually, you can really work your organic posts well. Organic meaning where you don't spend anything on your post. You've just got to know when to post and what type of captions to put out there so that people will actually respond. Stop the scroll and get chatting with you. So,
and that caption piece is something that I've, you and I talk about captions and content so much, because it's one of the things that I love to do. In fact, that's why I've been talking to some people about designing a new program called the Content Collective, where we just talk about content, nothing but content, coaching on content. But that idea of how you find that content and that inspiration of the blog to be able to get that, making sure your captions are right. Now, when you're talking about captions, and I know we've only got about a couple of minutes left for today, but when you're talking about your captions, how do we make sure that we're getting sort of that managing the time that we're in terms of writing those captions? So what advice do you give about how we write the captions specifically for each of the posts? So yes, we've got the blog, but how do you draw that information out easily?
So it could literally be, for example, if I go back to the example of the Facebook ads, writing a blog post about that, which will come out of the digital marketing webinar about that. Some of those posts could be whole snippets that I put in there, but some of them will literally just be a line that says, want to know more about Facebook ads, ? Click this link and read my blog. So very, very brief. The call to action is in there with click the link to the blog, or if it's on Instagram, it could say, link in bio, for example. There's, lots of different ways of getting people to the place that you want to head them to, but it doesn't need to carry on and on and on. And what I found overwhelming is a number of people on Facebook particularly write incredibly long captions. And I, for one, haven't got the time to read. So generally, if I find it a bit interesting, I'll read the first sentence, I'll skim down, and then I'll read the last sentence.
Me too. I do exactly the same thing.
So maybe that messy middle could have just been taken away completely. And if we always need some kind of call to action in there. So what about we scrap the middle and we just gave a snippet of it and it led us to a blog post, or it led us to want to inquire more, or it led us to book a discovery call, or it led us to somehow start a conversation. So does this resonate with you? Let me know below and I'll jump on a chat with you, or something like that, so that it's not always taking up so much of your time. Writing these incredible, like, honestly, sometimes I read people's posts and I think that was a blog post. That was not a social media post. So,
and it goes back to that conversation. They say, well, it's too short for a blog post. So they're sitting in that messy middle of going, it's too long for Facebook, it's too short for a blog, because we have this belief of what a blog should look like. But that's what I love about this move, particularly in the last couple of years, to really that engagement through website blogs and articles. And I think on my information, like we call it, it's random thoughts and ideas is what I call my blog, because often they are just random thoughts and ideas. Is that how do we capture that? And if we think about a blog as that thought bubble or random ideas that we just want to capture and share, then all those rules and all those kind of traditional ideas of what a blog needs to look like go out the window, and you can really create your own. I know one of my clients does her blogs as video blogs. So she doesn't do any, she writes maybe 1 or 2 sentences for it, and then she does a video which she posts on her website. And they're essentially video blogs, but that's how she shares her message, because writing is not her forte. And we're getting her into the idea of transcribing those and having captions on them so people can watch them with the sound off and all those things that we need to do. But at least for her, she's getting content out there.
Absolutely. And by having those video blogs or vlogs, then you can actually use that content even 3-4 years later if it's still relevant, or you could just fiddle with it and mix it up. And I was also talking with a client recently who has years of amazing blogs, and her industry doesn't change like ours does, and so she can and literally re-release them. So I said, she's like, I'm fatigued from blog writing, and I said, so go and grab all your hundreds of blogs and pick them out from time to time, just give them a little bit of a refresh and put them back out there.
And also, and what I've been finding is saying that with those blogs, again, saving time, if you do have a blog that was really engaging and people love, like a 5 tips or a 7 ways to whatever, turning those into a PDF that people can download as a call to action changes the interaction between it, and also gives people a different sense when they're reading it, because you turn it into an information guide or a how-to guide, or a top tips that they can print out and stick on their wall. Actually changes the engagement with the information too, without having to change the information.
Absolutely. Very, very good point, Jenny. I love it. So there you go. That's another way to repurpose that content. So many ways. So start with that blog post and you'd be amazed with where you can go from there. And great that you pointed out about the vlog, because yes, for some people that's their jam. Go with the vlogging instead.
Very much so. So what is one tip for somebody who's going, I just need to start, I'm a bit in overwhelm. The first tip, the only tip I'm hearing really, is start with that blog and then see where that takes you. And don't worry about how many you're posting or what it looks like or how long it is. Just write the blog, capture the information somehow, and then use that to actually feed your content over the next month, week, however long it is.
Absolutely. But if you don't have a website, so therefore you don't have a blog at this point, then what to do? Well, same thing, start with one thing, so say you don't even have your email marketing set up yet or anything else. All you've got, for example, is Instagram and nothing more just yet for your business. Well, for starters, quick, get a website, because the website is the hub of your business. Yes, but if you've just got Instagram for now, that's fine. Just make sure that you're consistent. So if you say, I can only manage 3 posts a week, well, do it. Schedule that time in your calendar and do a post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Ideally, you want to be doing it live. I don't mean as an Instagram live. I mean, you want to be posting it fresh, not scheduling it, because if you're very, very new and it's all starting out for you and you've got no other ways for people to see you, then you need to get the maximum benefit of posting it as a fresh post rather than scheduled, elsewhere, and then you're not even hanging out there.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, isn't it? Because when you do it live, you get to see the response straight away too. And I know that when I was scheduling, and I said I've reduced the number of posts and I schedule some, but some of them I do live. And when I do get an instant response, you do get that endorphin hit. It makes you want to do it a little bit more. And you're like, oh, I'm enjoying this. And you get to have that engagement with people, which is what social media is about. It's about creating a media platform for you. And I was talking about this to someone recently, is that we often forget that social media is a form of media. It's essentially our public relations version, and it's our own personal tool for public relations. But we forget that it's media. Yes, it's social and community. We want to build connection and trust and all those other things. But essentially, we are curating the copy and the information we want people to see so they can actually lean in and learn more about us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Get social, get into your media.
Exactly right.
Just do it.
And it's just starting, isn't it? So if you haven't written a blog for a while, and I'm thinking back, I don't think I've actually posted a blog. I've got lots of content, but I haven't actually posted a blog. I might have to do that today. So getting on board and getting that blog, just starting that little piece today or even tomorrow, sitting down, was actually going to give you the opportunity to rethink about how you approach the overwhelm of social media.
Yes, Jenny, beautiful. And my final tip is set your time limit for that writing.
Yes.
Because it could end up taking you a whole day or more, and you don't want that to happen. So give yourself, say, 30 minutes or 60 minutes and just get into it and make it happen.
And I know I've got comments coming through saying that people have written lots of content and never posted it. Now is the time to post it, particularly as we come towards the end of the year. People are looking for something new and fresh. They're looking for something different from you. They're wondering what's happening over Christmas. A lot of business start shutting down, a lot of business or start quieting down, particularly if you're manufacturing, you might close down over a couple of months. If you're in retail, you're always on, but people are looking for fresh content. We've got a little bit more time now as a reader and as a potential customer to look through Facebook and to spend that time thinking about how we can engage with you, particularly if you're a product business. Now is the time you want to be seen, because now it's coming up to Christmas.
Absolutely. So there's that little saying that done is better than perfect.
Yes.
And I'm definitely a recovering perfectionist, and I really have to work hard at not spending forever trying to perfect a piece. So
exactly.
Make sure that you just start getting it out there. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So Kylie, where can people work with you?
The one-on-one or in a group coaching capacity, or sign up to we've got a masterclass coming up on lead magnets, and that's very exciting one day. So you can find me at hellomedia.team is the website. And what about you, Jenny? How do people find you?
So at Elephant in the Room AU on Facebook and Insta, if you go, they're the best places to find me, and they can take you to all the other platforms that we have, but we like to be consistent. So Elephant in the Room AU, and we do some group coaching, and we are starting a new group coaching program called the Content Collective. It's the working title at the moment. And we're looking to actually help people write their content and really get their message out and get clarity around their message, because I find a lot of our clients, like you do, are really unsure about how to describe what they do or who they are, or really talk to their clients. So we're going to start working on helping people create that content and really lean into their own passion, so we can share that through the written format.
Awesome. Well, it's been fun. I always enjoy these Friday mornings, Jenny. So next week, do you have a topic that we're going to...
I do have the topic for next week, and I just need to open up. So the topic for next week is, and it's one that I've asked Kylie to talk about because I think it's really, really important, is email marketing still relevant? I know you did a workshop on it recently, and you've done a couple of topics on your Monday afternoons, but I really want to discuss that idea of, is email marketing relevant? I've just been to a conference last week, and I'm getting bombarded by emails and email sales when I've not even built trust with these people. So I want to talk about, is it relevant? And if it is, how do we maximize that value?
Awesome. I really look forward to talking with you about that.
And me too. You have an awesome day.
Cool. Thanks, Jenny. You too. And a great weekend.
And thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.